live from the Below the Yellow Line studio. It's the Below the Yellow Line podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Below the Yellow Line podcast. Excited to have another great guest join us on the show today. Hudson, if you would, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So my name is Hudson Bulger. I'm 15 years old. I'm from Fort Valley, Georgia, but I race pro late models and legend cars mainly in the South, but mainly running pro late model right now.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Glad you're out there on the track. Gonna kind of go ahead and get into our first question here. When did you first know that you wanted to be a race car driver? When did that bug kind of bite you?
Probably right after I wasn't really sure about it at first, and then it was like my second legend car race, and I kind of started really enjoying it and kind of we went from there and pretty much ran every race that we could up to now. Yeah.
All right. I know your career is kind of young, but you've had a lot of success. You can go look at your website. You have a lot of different various accomplishments listed there, from wins, top fives, top tens. What is your favorite moment of your career so far?
I think probably my best finish on my pro late model, which was second, which is my last race at Chris Motorsports Park.
Okay, that's a good one. Let's see. Did you have any? I know you got. When you're only 15 years old, everything kind of seems like fairly recent. But did you have any heroes, any drivers, or anybody in the motorsports industry that you really looked up to as you were growing up, and now as you're kind of becoming one of them?
No, not really. I mean, I never even really watched NASCAR or anything growing up. It was just kind of like something, kind of felt like a good opportunity for us, and we just kind of went from there with it. But no, not really. I don't think so.
Well, the good news is, as young as you are building a career, you could have the chance to be that person for someone someday. And I've asked that question to a lot of people, and they've had varying answers from guys from the 50s or 60s or present day guys. But the one thing that most of them follow up with is, I hope I can be that guy for a young fan out there someday. And it's great that we have you and a lot of other young guys coming up through the ranks that can be, a great person and great driver behind the wheel as well. I figure the track that you got your best finish at in your pro late model is probably up there on this list. But do you have a favorite track that you've run at so far? And do you also have a least favorite track that you've run at so far?
That's tough. So yeah, definitely Chris Motorsports Park is going to be my favorite, and then least favorite is probably legend cars at Lanier so far. It just, I don't know. It's kind of, they took down the inside wall from what it used to be, which I never got to run there then. But it just doesn't really feel like a racetrack. I don't know. There's no side line. It's just kind of like you're driving in a parking lot.
Yeah, there are some tracks that some drivers never mesh with. That's so weird, though. I've never heard of a track like just taking it, like they just took away the wall. That's so interesting.
So infield long time ago, and everybody parked in the infield, but then they, I guess somebody bought it, and no one really raced there, so then they took it all out and paved the inside of it, and I guess they just race go-karts on it and drift on it. So there's no infield. It's a big concrete pad in the middle, so it doesn't really feel like a racetrack.
I have never heard of a track doing something like that before. That's so interesting. I can imagine. I'd be, obviously I'm not one of you guys. I don't have the mindset of one of you guys that drives race cars, but I can't imagine, somebody just took away. Wow, that is interesting. That is certainly a configuration that I'll have to check out. Going back to one of our previous questions, I asked if you had any heroes, but obviously you're part of the team Hornaday Development team. But have you had any big mentors so far that have kind of helped you grow as a driver and grow as somebody advancing in the sport?
Yeah, so I think as far as like NASCAR drivers, David Ray was probably number one. He just kind of like before I got into pro late model, he drove my car in Speed Fest and just kind of get ready for everything, make sure everything in the car was right. So that was definitely like a big like motivation, I guess.
That's true. You want to outrun the guy that was in the car before. You prove that obviously he's one of your mentors, one of your friends, but you still want to beat him out. Still want to show that you're the guy, you're the right guy for the job. All right, moving on. Your guy, you're so young. You've won some races. You've had some great finishes, but I want to know, and I know this is kind of a broad question. I know it's a question that could have a far out, future answer here, but when you look at your career, when you look at what you have accomplished, you want to accomplish, what is your end goal, at least right now? And it could change, but what is your end goal right now for where you want to get in auto racing?
Obviously, I think like the most broad answer was Cup Series NASCAR, but honestly, right now, just finishing is the best I can in every race, just doing my best to put myself up front, surrounding myself with the best people. Just always being good equipment and just making it pretty much as far as we can. I'd say that's probably my goal for right now, like what I'm really working on to move up through the ranks.
Yeah, absolutely. Finish all the laps, get the best finishes you can, and you talk about surrounding yourself with great people. And I don't know how much time you guys have together, but I've had the good fortune to talk to some of your Team Hornaday Development teammates from Dawson Sutton, Landon Lewis, a few of those other guys, and great guys. And it seems like yourself, you're having a good deal of success at only 15 years old. So you seem like you are surrounding yourself with good people that are helping you move up. My last question for you here, Hudson. Again, this is kind of a broad, relatively general question, but I have to ask this to everybody I interview because it's so fun to hear all the different answers. If there was one track, one race, one situation, one guy you passed, just your overall dream scenario to get your first, Cup win, NASCAR win, IndyCar win, whatever it may be, what would that be and why?
Let's see. Probably win at NASCAR Cup win at Land Motor Speedway, just because it's kind of where I first started on the quarter mile track there in a legend car, and I just feel like it'd be cool to go back one day in a Cup car and get a win there.
Yeah, went on the big track after driving that that little quarter mile infield circuit. That'd be really cool for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. But the last thing here before I let you go, would you mind telling everybody when your next race is? And if you want to thank any sponsors, certainly go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so my next race is this weekend, actually at Chris Motorsports Park. It'll be in the Pro Late model. And I'd just like to thank, Can-Am, Byron Outdoor Superstore, Circuit Motorsports, XPS Lubricants, Unknown Media House, Morris Bank, Free Realty, Caldwell Banker, Antler Extreme, and that should be about it. And then as far as crew goes, Reagan Racing and Chris Dilbeck Racing and my parents.
All right, gotta add the parents on there. They're the catalyst, man. They're the most important ones. Your biggest supporters in those grandstands for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We wish you and your team the best of luck here for the rest of 2023 and beyond. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing your name in the newspapers a lot more. Hopefully, with you in victory lane holding up some more trophies.
Yeah. Thank you.